Caron, a 14-year NBA career.
Yeah.
Right? You only had 1 year with the Lakers, but Laker fans love you. You know, you did some work with the Lakers broadcast team a couple of years ago before joining the Heat as an assistant coach. We'll talk about that in a second. But when you think back on your 1 year with the Lakers, one of the best franchises in the NBA, what comes to mind? What do you think about?
Immediately, I think of, how proud I was to, represent my family in a great organization, and how all the things that I was taught over the years, my first 2 years in the NBA with the godfather of the game, legendary Pat Riley, and seeing it in real time by actual figure, and my brother Kobe Bryant, and just watching him, and just I literally became his shadow. Like, I followed him everywhere. I watched his work ethic. I watched his preparation for games, the way he viewed and analyzed film, and he really just poured into me. Like, we really kicked it off, and we spent a lot of time together, just on and off the court, talking about our families, talking about our futures and things like that. And that friendship just grew and grew over the years.
That was your second stop in the NBA, the Lakers. You came to the Lakers in the trade that sent Shaq to the Heat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have traded myself. I would have traded myself in that trade. People always ask me, like, "Well, you mad that you got traded from Miami?" And now I'm sitting here working with everybody that probably had some type of say so in moving the needle and getting that trade done. But I said I would have traded myself in a heartbeat. Shaq was just a different world. And when you think about the youth of myself and Lamar Odom, and then you had an older player in Brian Grant, and I think a possible lottery pick or some type of draft pick was in the mix of that too. But, it worked out well for everyone. The Heat went on to win the title shortly after that, a year removed from the trade. And we was able to go and just have the experience of a lifetime and play for a great organization. Lamar ran it up. He won a couple titles in LA, and my career worked out just fine as well.
So you're an assistant coach with the Heat, obviously the team that drafted you 10th overall in the draft. So part of the front office is still there, the ones that sent you away, but now they brought you back. All of them. Is that an awkward conversation when you went in there, like, to be a coach? You're like, you sure you guys want to do this?
Yeah, you know what? It's pretty cool because, like, I always felt, even though I was with every other organization, I played for multiple organizations over my tenure, the Miami Heat culture was just always instilled in me. And I feel like if I would have went anywhere else, if I didn't learn how to be a professional first here from the Godfather and Stan Van Gundy and Keith Askins and Bob McAdoo and Eric Spoelstra, who was working in film and just working in transition with basketball development, if I didn't learn all the things that I learned from them, surface level and at the beginning, my foundation would not have been as strong, and I wouldn't have been able to have the career that I had. So I'm always grateful.
I assume the Godfather is Pat Riley.
Absolutely. The Godfather. You cannot tell the story of basketball without mentioning him, and everybody know him as the Godfather. He earned that name. He really has.
And he's got the Lakers in his NBA history as well, obviously. What's it like being around Pat Riley? I grew up a Knicks fan, so I idolized Pat Riley, and he's one of the few people, when I saw him in person, I was like a little tongue-tied. I got a little starstruck. What's it like to be around him?
Yeah, his mind is always working. Even though he's, removed from the game from a coaching aspect, he's always forever a coach. He wear a lot of hats, and it's just amazing sometimes to just have that wealth of insight around you. Walk through, or whether it's a practice and he's just in the gym, you feel his presence, and it's definitely needed and welcome. And I always just, consider it a blessing just to, like, damn, I could just go right here and just ask him anything, like, am I on the same wavelength right now on what he's thinking and what he's seeing and what's his observation of the game and these coverages. And it's just, it's a huge asset to have. It really is.
I think that, you are also someone who's worn a lot of hats, and, you retire from the NBA in 2018, right? February 2018, and then pretty quickly get into broadcasting at the regional level and at the national level. And now you're coaching. You've also written a book. You're working in content and creating content. What do you enjoy the most? What's been the most rewarding for you since leaving playing the game on a day-to-day basis?
Uh, just challenging myself to stay committed to one, being the best possible version of me, like in whatever I do. But me and Kobe used to always talk about our second acts, and now I feel like I'm in the midst of my third. And if my first act is all that I can make reference to, then shame on me for not taking advantage of this time here. And basketball was something that I loved doing, but that wasn't entirely who I am in my makeup. It's just a percentage of who I am as a human being. So that was something that always stuck with me. I remember sitting in Sacramento and me and him having that conversation over dinner, and he was just like, "Man, your second act, and then your third act, and then you got to inspire, and you got to." And he was just so into the conversation. He's like, "Man, watch the movie Whiplash. It's one of my favorite movies. You got to watch it." And I was just like, "Damn!" And I went home that night and I watched it, and I was like, "All right, this is what I'm doing." I was like, I already was in business and things like that, where I was just like franchising and investing in other things as far as like real estate, but I was just super inspired by our conversation, and I just wanted to do more, and it's like, if you have a platform, if you have all the resources to do some of these things, like, why not? Like, take a swing at it, and you know, don't be afraid to strike out in anything.
Who initiated that dinner in Sacramento?
I called him. Rob Laura was actually, they came in Sacramento the day before, and I knew that they was coming in because everybody's just going crazy. Obviously, Kobe farewell tour, and I was like, damn, I ought to just call him. And I didn't want to press him. I didn't want him to move too many things around because I know he was extremely busy. But I asked Rob what was his schedule looking like, and Rob was like, oh, he's chill, he's open. And I was like, all right, cool. So I reached out to him, called him, and he was like, yeah, let's go to I think it was like Capitol Grill or something we went to, and just sat down, and I had a private room, and he was like, no, we don't want to sit in the private room. Let's sit out with everybody and just enjoy everybody. And I mean, we sat out there for like 2-3 hours just talking, and people thought we was arguing. We was going so crazy because we was just talking about our dreams and our kids and our future and all. It was like one of the moments I remember most all our years of talking and just being friends.
Was that one of the last times you guys sat down together, just the two of you?
Yeah, that we sat down physically together. Yes, we talked at least probably once every couple weeks, or changed some type of text messaging. I actually supposed to came out, I think 3 weeks prior to the tragedy. I was supposed to have came out to the gym and watch some games. I just missed them in Vegas, probably a couple months prior to that. But we was just always on the phone. We always communicated, and it was devastating to get that news.
It's still hard to talk about.
Yeah, it really is. And I find myself like zoned out thinking about him sometimes. Like yesterday, we was playing in San Antonio. We had guides out there, and DeMar DeRozan like literally walked up, and I found myself just staring at his feet. Like I saw the shoes, and I was just like zoned out for a minute. And he walked up, and I think he knew exactly what I was thinking, and he was just like, "Man, miss our brother," and gave me a hug. So it's just like you have those moments where you get there. Sometimes you want to send a text out. I look at my text messages, look at old text messages that he sent me. I don't know. It's still don't seem real, but I definitely know that he's proud of me.
One thing that I thought was really cool, a positive that came out of such a horrific situation, was that term "girl dad."
Yeah,
And he really did love his girls, including Vanessa. You're a girl dad.
yeah,
How special is it to be a girl dad?
yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that we often talked about. I'm a father of 4 girls as well, so it's like uh, being in their lives is just extremely special. I mean, anything that you can do with a boy, you can do with a girl. It's crazy how people are so naive in the past to believe that those things are not true. But I have so much fun with my girls, and I'm gonna tell all the men out there, your girls will protect you more than your boys. I will tell you that. Like, so it's an honor to be a girl dad, and they take care of me. It's like having four wives, man. They call me, they FaceTime me, they make sure that I'm okay, make sure that I ate, make sure my clothes clean. Like, it's amazing, man. Like, I get my biggest thrill in life, just being around my kids. It's everything.
It sounds like it. So when you're only a few years removed from playing, really, are there any times when you're sitting on the bench on the sidelines as an assistant coach now and you're thinking like, man, I want to get in this game? Is there any part of you?
Never. Never. Just as a competitor, is fun. Like, it's fun to be there, and I may say things, but nah. Like, I retired. Like, I truly retired with my basketball competition part of me, like, to playing wise, like, complete. Like, I exhausted that space. I like my closure. Like, I'm here, seal it, I'm good. And now this is what I want to do. I just want to, mentor. I want to pour into, these up and coming, future stars and, role players, and, just really pour into them and give them this wealth of insight and information that, I tapped into and that I was exposed to over the years.
I want to ask you about the mission that you partnered with the Players Tribune. Can you tell me how that came to be and why people should go check it out and what you hope they take away from it?
Jay, I'm glad you asked that, because over the years, I've been actively on the ground working with the National Urban League, the NAACP, in my hometown of Racine. And I'm currently on the Vera board at Institute of Justice, where we're one of the largest, most recognizable reform boards across the country. And I've always tried to move the needle on social change, whether it was peaceful protesting, whether it was going to city council meetings, where it was being an avid voter, and moving the needle in that space, and talking to people about the three branches of government. And it really was fulfilling to finally have a huge platform a couple years ago, where a street was named after me on Juneteenth Day, the Black folks proclamation, where we celebrate our independence. And it was just one of the largest platforms I ever had. And a kid was murdered by law enforcement on my boulevard where I was being recognized. And it was a moment for me to talk about all the isms, all the things uncomfortable, to shine light on all the invisible racism that I felt have existed for over 400 years. And this brings some awareness. And I wanted to document it. I wanted to talk about it in a different way, and I wanted to be creative while doing it. So we chose to use animation to talk about it. And the Players Tribune came up with a amazing script. I narrated it, and we just released it today. And with this climate, I know that, I was talking to you offline, where you don't want to say like the timing is perfect, because for the timing to be perfect, it would have to be a fresh tragedy. But our reality is, every 3 seconds in America is going to be a police encounter with a Black and brown individual. That's the reality of the society that we live in. And there's going to be more hashtags. There's going to be more stories. There's going to be more headlines. And I'm just happy that this headline is it's a lot of information. It's my reality. And I'm